Hi guys, my name is Nelson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be looking at an examination management software. This software is of two parts. We have the admin and we have the client. The admin helps you to set up tests, set up questions, set up candidates, and also generate results. While the client itself helps candidates to write the particular exam. So I have Visual Studio already opened here, and what you're looking at right now is the source code. You can see that here. So what I'm going to do now is I will publish the app. I will publish each of the app, and then I am going to demo it installed on my system. I don't want to run it from Visual Studio. So you can see the application works so well. It's publishing now. So this is done. I will publish the client also. The software, you can see from the source code, it is well structured. You can see here. It's well structured. So if you get this source code, be rest assured that you have a well written structured code. Okay, so I will start from installing the admin. Then I will install the client. Then I will allow them to install. So once it's done, I will close. I will minimize Visual Studio now. I'll close this. So let me cancel this for now. So you can see from here, our application has already been installed. The name of the application is NEMS. So you can see we have NEMS admin and NEMS client. So if you try to run the client first, and you set up the IP address, you say save and continue. It's going to give you 127.0.0.1 by default. So if your server is running a different IP, you will need to enter your server IP address. So if you try to run the client first, you're going to get this message: school setup required, contact administrator. So this is because for the first time you need to run the admin first, okay, to set up the school. So I'm going to be doing that now. So I'll click OK to close this, and then I will open the admin now. So this is my server IP, so I will leave it at this, and then I do save and continue. So this is where you do like a school setup. So you're required to enter your school name. So for this demo, I'll be using XYZ University. For phone number, let's just enter a random phone number here. And email, let's also have random email, info at, let's say, SYZ University .com. Address 123 Anywhere Street, Lagos, Nigeria. Now for school logo, this is where you enter the school logo. So I'm just going to have a logo here already. So I'll pick this logo. Then so this is like the administrative account here for this section. This is the administrative account. So we already have like a default credentials, of which if you don't want to use that, you just need to click on use new credentials, and then you will need to create your own. So I'm going to create mine. I'll call this one administrator. Then let me use a very simple password. Then I do save and continue. Then system setup complete. So system setup is now complete. So now once I click OK, it will take me to this screen here. Okay, so this screen is where you now log in from. Okay, so if you start this application again, let me show you. So I will exit for now. Once I start this application again, because I've done setup, I'm not going to be doing setup again. Okay, so it will take me to this screen directly. Okay, so now I have the startup screen for the names admin panel. Now let me log in. I had already created an account, so I will log in with the account that I created initially. Administrator. Administrator. um, you can check the remember username here, and then you log in, so you can see we are logged in now. So this is the admin app itself. Here you have your username, and you can change your password or log out. Here you have your role name. So this role was created by default. Then here you have the today's date. Okay. And then on the menu side, we have settings, security, report, session, course, grading, candidates, test, result. Now, so what I will start by showing you the this account side, this security side. So on security side, we have account, and on account we have role manager, create role, user manager, create user. Okay, so let me go to the role manager here. So on role manager, you can create a new role. Let me call this role let's call this lecturer role. So for lecturer role, we can set up the access we want to grant to lecturers. Okay, so let me grant the results, the test. Lecturer cannot set up candidates, so we'll leave this. Cannot set up grading, cannot set up course session. So yeah, you can generate reports, can generate attendance. So I think this is good for a lecturer. So we'll do save. So now when I go back to role manager, I should see that we now have a new role created. Okay. So the next will be on the user. Okay. So we have user manager, and on user manager you can see that currently we have one role, which is one user, which is the user we created earlier, the administrator that we created earlier. So we are able to access everything here because let me show you. So if you double click on this user, you will see that currently this user is not on any row. So how are we able to access all this? So the reason is because when we created this user, the system automatically makes it a super user. So this is like the user on the system that we always have access to everything. Okay. Um, if you wish, you can create a new user. You can go to security account, create user. Let's call this user lecturer one. And then we can assign the role of a lecturer. Then for password, you can decide to have a custom password or use a default password. If you use a default password, when the user logs in, the user is going to be forced to change the password. Okay. So for title, let's say Mr. Lecturer one. And we can save now. If we go to security account user manager, we now have two users. You can see the user we created now. We now have two users. Of course, you can delete if you wish. You can reset their password. Um, Now the next module I want to go to is the session and session manager. So this is like where you set up these sessions you have within your school. I can create a new group for it. This, let me call this let's say you're doing a different program in your school. You can call this degree sessions. So it's the naming is very open. You can call it whatever you like. It's just a way for you to, to structure your sessions. You can call it whatever you like. So when you create this group, you can now create session inside it. You can see create session. We can call this 2025 slash 2026 session. So we save. Let me create one more session. 2026/2027 section. So we now have two sessions. So if you do another program, you can maybe have something like diploma sessions. You don't have to add sessions, you can just call it diploma. And then you say, oh sorry, I created it inside here. So it's it is supposed to be on the same level, but it doesn't matter. So just so you know, you can create different groups and then you put your sessions inside it. So for each group you can right click and say view sessions, and you're able to view all the sessions. Okay. So now the next will be this course manager. So on course manager is where you create the courses that you're doing in your school. Okay. So I will do the same grouping. I'll call this let's say degree. You can call it degree courses if you want. Then here I can decide to group it further. Can decide to have let's see, computer science. So that means I'm going to be having computer science courses inside here. You can create another group. You can call these, let's say, um engineering. So all engineering courses will be on this one, and all computer science related courses will be on this one. Okay. So it's just grouping. Now let me create the course inside it. So I'll right click on computer science because I'm going to be using computer science for this video. So I'll right click on computer science. I'll do create course, and here you can enter the course title. So let me call this introduction to computer. um, computer programming. Okay, so the code I'll call it CS50. Now I save, and you can see we now have the course here. So if we create more course, let me create more course. Let me call these mm, let's see operation research. So now we have two courses for computer science. So the more you're creating these courses, the more they appear here. You can see, and of course, if you make any mistake, you can just double click and then you can update. So let's say I want this to be CS500. So you can update and then you have it changed to CS500. Then on courses, you have privilege um to create question bank. So the question bank you're creating is specific to this particular course. So I'll show you what I mean. So to access the question bank, you can see each course has its own question bank. So for introduction to computer programming, so I'll click here and then I have the privilege to set up my question bank. I'm going to be setting up my question bank in two group. I'm going to be having the fill in the blank or rather short answer, and I will also have the multi-choice question. So I'll start with multi-choice. So I'll create a new group here. Create a new group. I'll call this multi-choice. So I do save. Then I'll create another group. I'll call this short answer. So short answer questions are like fill in the blank, the questions where you have to type in into a blank space. So that's the short answer or fill in the blank. So I will just call this short answer. Okay. So now I have two question group. I have two question group. You can see. Okay. So now I want to create questions um for multiple choice. So how do I do that? So you right click on the group you want your question to be created in. So for this question, I want to I'm going to be creating it in multiple choice. So I'll right click and I'll do create question. So when you do create question, this dialog appears. So we have three types of questions that you can create. So here we have the single choice, then we have multiple choice, and then we have short answer. So I'm going to be creating single choice here. So this is the question creation window. As you can see, I have here an hint. You can see it says provide detailed instructions or guidelines for answering this question. So this is where you provide your instruction. Okay. So I will use I'll just enter here to say select the correct option. Then for my question, I'm going to enter which of these is not a programming language. Okay, so my mark for this question will be let's say 1.5 as my pass mark. You also have the privilege to enter fail mark. You can see fail mark is mark given when the question is answered incorrectly. Setting this above 0 activates negative marking. Okay, so if you have something like 1 here, so what it means is that if the uh if the student answers this question and they failed it, 1 mark will be deducted from their total score. Okay, but if the answers is correct, it does not apply, so they are going to be added. This pass mark is going to be added, but if they answer it incorrectly, this fail mark is going to be deducted from their score. Okay, so that's what this pass mark and fail mark means. Then there is also difficulty level here, but this is not in use at the moment. Okay, so once you're done with this section, you can now go to choices. Here you will need to add choices. So we have a here. Let's call this one C++. Remember, the question says which of these is not a programming language. Okay, so we have option B, A sharp. We have option C, HTML, which is a markup language. So we are going to be selecting this as our answer, and then we'll add one more option. This is going to be JavaScript. Okay, so we are done now. Okay, so we have a section for exhibit. If you have questions that require image, like diagrams, that's when you use this exhibit. Okay, but I'm not going to be showing that now, so I'll just do save, and my question is now saved. So you can see we now have our question here. You can see the pass mark, the fail mark, the options that we have. We don't have any exhibit, so here we have 0, the instruction, difficulty level, and so on. Okay, so if I right click on short answer here and say view question, you will see currently we do not have any question here, but for multiple choice we have one question. So for multiple choice, I'm going to be importing more question. And how do I do that? I'm going to do a batch upload. I will right click on multiple choice here, and I'll do import batch question. Okay, so here you have the option to import in Microsoft Excel or a text document, which will follow the Ekin format. Okay, so I'm going to be using this custom Ekin format here, and let me download the template so that you will see how it looks. So it's downloaded. Let me open the downloaded template. So here you can see this is what it looks like. This is what the format looks like. So which animal is known as man's best friend? This is the question, and these are the options. You can see it stops at D. Then you have the instruction here, then the mark, and then the answer here, which is A. You can see that's the answer. So this is like a sample. When you download the template, you're going to get a sample like this. So you will need to build or construct your question in this way, and then you can successfully upload it. So let me do an import. So I will import the sample template, and you can see here. So if you construct your question well, you're going to have something like this when you import. You can see the mark. Then the correct answer is shown in green here, as you can see. So if you have more than one correct answer, as you can see here on this place, the question will automatically be multiple choice. If you have only one answer, the question will be made single choice. If you have one answer and multiple options, it will be single choice. If you have one answer with no other choice, just one choice, one option, the question will be short answer here. Short answer is the same as fill in the blank. Okay, so but I'm not going to be uploading this. I already have a computer programming related question that I will upload. So I'll click on import to import that. That's the file. So I'll click open, and as you can see, my question is now imported. So here you will notice that my pass mark is 0 here. So I will need to update my pass mark. I want to update all the pass mark as once because I entered it as 0 um in my import file. So I will click on update, and then I will make this 1.5, and I click OK. I will do the same thing for my instruction. So I want to have one instruction across. Let me call this um select. So my instruction, you can see, is now updated. So I will click on upload to upload my questions. Do you wish to upload 20 questions? Of course. Questions updated. So I'll click OK. Now, if I go to view question again, I will now see we have 21 questions. Okay. So the same batch upload, I will do the same batch upload for short answer, and I will use the Eken format, and I have a file already to import. Fill in the blank here. You can see that. So I will import, and then let me just update the mark. I'll make it 4.5 also, and then I will upload. And if I go now to view the questions, you will see we have 20 questions now. Okay, so that is it for question bank. So I will just click to close this introduction to computer programming question bank. Now, I told you that question bank are specific to the particular course. So if I go to operation research question bank, I will see that it is still empty because what the configuration we did was for this introduction to computer programming. So if I click on it again, you will see we have the configurations that we did, the questions that we set up, they are still here. But we do not have nothing. We do not have anything for operation research. You can see. So that is it for the course manager. Okay. So the next thing I'll be doing now is on grading. This grading here. So I'll go to score grading. So score grading is when you set up how do I put it? When you set up a grading for um let's set up a grading like a range and the grading letter for that range. I'll show you what I mean. So first of all, you will need to group this. So you can use the same grouping structure. You can call this degree grading. So now on this group we can now set up score grading. So let's say for you to get an A, which is excellent. You need to have from 50 to, or let's say 70, 200. Then you save. Then you can create another one. Let's call this is a B. You need to get a B, which is fair. You need to have from let's say 50 to 69.9999. Then we'll create another one. So we're going to have only three. So this will now be F, which is failure, and it's from 0 to, let's say, um let's say 49.9999. Okay. So I will now mark this score grading as failure. Okay. So that's it. We are done setting up grading. So if a candidate scores from 0 to 49.9999, is going to be treated as failure. If you score from 50 to 69.99999, it's going to be treated as fair results. That's B. Then if you score from 70 to 100, it will be treated as A. Excellent. Okay. So that's it for score grading configuration. You can delete, of course, if you wish to, and you can also update. So you double click on it, and then you're able to update this information. So I'll close the score grading setup now. So we are done with the score grading setup. The next is going to be for candidates. So for candidates, so I'll go to candidates, then candidate manager, and you can see our candidate manager is empty. Now we can set up candidates, and in the same manner we have grouping. So you can create a new group. Let me call this degree as usual. But in this good degree, we're going to be having computer science. So we are taking the department approach, computer science. You can take this further. You can come here, you can have um let's say 100 level. Okay, so this will do. If you have more, you can create more. Let's say engineering, like we did earlier. Engineering, and then you can see we now have computer science, then engineering, and under computer science we have 100 level. So it's just a folder structure. You can create it whichever way that suits your school best, or whichever way that helps you remember which one is which. Okay. So now when you're done with the creation of this folder, you can now create students inside this folder. So to do that, you right click, you do create student. So I'm going to call this person candidate one. Gender is male. We'll just have a random phone number. We'll leave email, we'll leave nationality, or Let's see, Nigerian, Lagos State. Then the candidate number. So this number is very important because this is the number the candidate will be using to write exam. So for this our candidate, I'm going to call him let's say CS0001. Then you need a picture. It's not compulsory, but we have a picture, so we'll use a picture. Then you can also capture the candidate's fingerprint. I mean, if they are there currently, not compulsory, but if they are there, you can capture their fingerprinting. And I have a fingerprint capture device here, so I'll be using that. So I will capture just two fingers. Okay, so I've captured my two fingers. Now I will save. You can see candidates created successfully. So here we have one candidate now. You can see. So the candidate is here. So when I right click and view students, you see we have the list of candidates. For now, we have just one. So if you want to edit, you can just double click, then you edit. Then after you are done editing the information, you update here. If you want to edit the candidate number, you will need to enable this update here. Click on it. It's enable. You can now edit the candidate number. Okay. There is also a way you can edit. So um but I'm going to show that later. So for now, what we are going to do next is the batch upload. So we want to upload batch candidates just like we did for questions. So how do we do that? We can you right click on the group you want it to fall into. So I right click on this 100 level and then I say import. Okay. So now I need to, you can download the template and see how it looks like. So let me download the template, okay, and save. Then I'm going to open it to show you what the template looks like. Okay, sorry, this is for group. Sorry, this is for batch importing of student group. Um, okay, yeah. This is where we have the batch import for candidates. So you can see it here. Candidate batch import. So let me click on it, and then I would the download the template, and I'll open it so you will see what the template looks like. Yeah, exactly. So this is what the template looks like. So now you need to enter the student number, the last name, first name, other name, phone, email, gender, nationality, state, local government. So these are the things you need to enter. And when you're done, you can now import it. There's an import here. You can now import. But I've already done that already. So I have a file that I will import. So this file contains 500 students. Here you can see 500. So I'm going to import that 500 students right now. It's going to take a while. we would eventually have it imported. So while we are waiting, this software is has not been tested, and it's not yet ready. It's still under development. Um, so in case we run into any issue while doing this demo, you need to bear with me. The software is still in development, like I said. Okay. So the 500 records is important. Where is it? Okay. So this is it. This is the 500 records here. If I scroll down to the last on the list here, you can see it's 500, and you can see their student number. It's in Syria. So I will need to pick the group that I want to import this into. So I'll click here, then I'll expand, then select 100 level here, and then I can double click on it, and you can see it is selected here. Then I now click on upload. Do you wish to upload records? Yes, I do. So the 500 students was uploaded successfully. So now if I right click on 100 level again and do view students, now we are going to be having 501 record here. I'll see that in a minute. Before, we have already created one, and then we did that manually, and now we did a batch import for 500, so that will make it 501. So you can see we now have 501. We have all the records here now, as you can see. Okay, so let's say you've done this batch uh, upload, and then you notice that let me double click on any of the uploaded ones here. Okay, so you can notice that they do not have a passport, and they do not have their fingerprint captured. So what you can do is, when you've done this batch upload, the students can now come one after the other for the upload, to update their passport and their fingerprint. So how do you do that? You do candidate update candidate. Here you now need to enter their reg number or candidate number. Then you search. Sorry, this is S, not C. So we search. So the student comes up, as you can see. Once it comes up, you now need to update their passport and their fingerprint if you wish to. I'll use a different finger for this student. Sorry, my scanner is quite old. Alright, so I have captured one fingerprint here, and then I can now update. Okay, so this student has been updated. So if I double click it here, you can see we now have one finger captured, and then we now have the passport captured. Okay, so that is it for the candidate or student manager. The next on the list for this demo is on test. So we have test here. Okay, so now I will need to go to test manager here, and then depending on how you're structuring your folder, you can do that here also. Again, you can have degree, you can create let me create test here. So for this test, let me call it 20 introduction to programming for 2025/2026. So this is for this section. So I'm creating the test for this section. So I have to put it here so that it's easier for me to recognize, because you can have several tests for the same course, but then what differentiates them is the session that you've entered. Because for each session, you will continue to write this particular exam, this particular course. So it is best that when you're creating, you make it in such a way that it is easier for you to remember. You can decide to separate this with maybe a slash here, or maybe like this. I think is better. Okay. So for this test, we want students to answer just 10 questions. And then for the time, we're going to make this um 30 minutes. So I select 30 here because it's minutes. I select minutes here, and then the duration I now enter 30 here. And then the start date, let's make it immediately available. So this is the current time and this is current date, so it will be immediately available. For end date, we are going to make this 1 week time. Want it to end in 1 week time. Then general instruction, let's enter attempt or attempt all questions, and then we'll select section. The section we created earlier is what we selected. Then we select course, the course we created earlier, introduction to computer programming. So this test is tied to this particular course. And remember, this course has a question bank. So once we are done setting up this test, we are going to be assigning questions from the question bank. Then we select grading. This is for degree, so we'll select grading for degree. And then we are done. We can also go to settings to allow candidate to view results. We will also set this to require fingerprint for identification before you write this exam. Then we are going to enable calculator. We are going to enable dictionary. We will also enable questions shuffling, and then enable option shuffling. We won't allow submission at any progress, so you must finish all the questions before you submit. So we click save to save. Then we have our test created. Okay, so now we have created the test, but we do not have any question for this test, and we also have not indicated who this test is meant for. So I'm going to be doing that right now. So I will scroll down here, and on this side we have questions and we have groups. So I'll start with group. So group is where we indicate who this test is meant for. So this is our candidate grouping that we have here. So this test is meant for the computer science students in 100 level. So I will just right click on it. I can right click and say add group, or I check it and say add selection. So if you want to add more than one group, it's possible. You can select all the groups and then you click add selection and they will be added. For now, we have only this group here added. You can see it's 100 level computer science degree. Okay, and the candidate is 501. Remember, they are 501. So these are the people that are going to write that our particular test. Okay, so I'll click to close this. We are done with grouping, the group mapping. Now we will now need to add questions from the question bank. So I'll click on questions. Here you can see all the questions that we have. So I will I will select all, and then I will add all of them. Okay, so you can see we now have a total of 41 questions mapped to this particular test, to this test here. Okay, so now I will say that we are good to go. This our our test is still zero because our question, I mean, is still zero, and then group is still zero. But if I go back and view the test again, you can see we now have 41 questions and then 41 groups mapped. Okay, so our examination is now ready for students to take. So if I go to results and go to test results, let me select the test that I just created. So if I click OK, you will see that nobody has already submitted this particular test. You can see the result is empty. Okay, so I'll close this now, and then what I will do now is that I will go over to the I will go over to the client application itself. Remember, I told you that this software is of two parts. We have the admin and then we have the client. Admin is where you set up questions, you set up candidates, you set up a test, just like we did. And then the client side is where the candidate will now use we now write the examination. Okay, so I will minimize this one, and then I'm going to right click on the client app and say open. So once we open, we see this screen again. This is the server IP address screen. So you enter your server IP. I'm going to leave this at this for now and say save, and then we get the login screen for candidates. Okay, so every candidate that you've created on the admin side can log in here. Okay, and if they have if they are have been assigned to a test, they can immediately start taking that test. Okay, depending on the schedule, if it's already time for the test, they can immediately start taking that test. So I'm going to log in with let's say the the first candidate we created, which is C0001. So I'm going to log in with its reg number. Was it C or CS? I remember what we used. Okay, it's CS. Okay, so you can see we have an exam schedule, which is the test that we created on the admin. You can see it here. Okay, so you can see the test has 10 questions, and then we are expected to answer it in 30 minutes, which is what we assigned there, 30 minutes. Okay, so but before I start, here you can see we have the help button here. We have the name of the candidate on this side, the right side here. We have the reg number, we have logout button, and then on this student information, we have this student name, student number, student group, and then the seat number. We have the seat number. Okay, so I didn't show you how to configure this seat number, but yes, there is a way you can configure seat numbers for the or the client systems. Okay, so that when a student submits an exam, you know the particular system that the client wrote that exam. Okay, below here we have, just like in the admin, we have the date, we have the seat number again, and then here on the right hand side we have the version of the software. Okay, then on this test schedule we have just one test here. So if you have three examination for that day, or you are assigned to more than one test, all the tests are going to populate here, they are going to show here. But for now we have just one test here, and the name is Introduction to Programming 2025-2026. Okay, so to start, all you need to do is to click here, the start button here. So you click on it. So we get this message: access denied, identity verification is required for this test. Kindly proceed to the verification point. Okay, so why are we getting this? The reason why we are getting this is because, let me show you. So on our client, on our admin, if we go to test, you will remember that. So let me view the test. So this is the test the candidate is meant to assign to attempt to. So if we double click, you remember we set up this test to um, identification mode is fingerprint. So it means that, so if I hover here, you can see it tells you that once it's on fingerprint mode, candidates must successfully verify their identity using their fingerprint before they are admitted to write this. So what it means is that if you set this up, you will need to dedicate a system where students are going to verify their identity first before they are allowed to write that particular test. Okay, so how is that done? So the system, you would need to have access to this module. So you go on test, there is a module here called identity verification. Okay, so we have the single identity verification, we have the batch verification. Okay, so for batch, you need to select group here. Let's say the people using this system for their verification is people in 100 level, so you select 100 level, you click on select. So all the tests they have for that day will appear here. As you can see, it will appear here. So now what they need to do is, when a student comes in, you can see here under the screen it says place your finger on the reader. So the reader is the fingerprint reader. So I'm going to place my fingerprint. Once I place it, it is going to approve me to write that particular test. You can see. So if the student is scheduled to write more than one test, maybe 5 tests for that particular day, it will approve the student for that 5 tests. Okay, so I will place my finger now. So you can see match found. So match was found. You can see candidate admitted successfully at so and so time. You can see my name, my group, my gender, my phone number, email, then the fingerprint I used um to gain the admission, the fingerprint I used for the verification. That is it, and that's all I need. So I've been admitted to write this introduction to programming. Okay, so the reason is to minimize malpractice, so you're sure that the student who is taking the examination is right there, is the one right there in the hall, that it's not an impersonation. So the student will need to activate his or her exam using biometrics first before they can write it. Okay, so because I have done this, let me minimize, so I can now start this exam. You can see I can now start attempt all question, I understand. Okay, so you can see here now, I this is the examination screen. So you can see my 30 minutes here have started counting down. As you can see, um, once the time elapsed, the system will do an automatic submission. Okay. Then we have the name of the test you're writing. This is the question. Then this is where you make your attempt. So that's it. We have calculator button here, and then the dictionary. You can see as the calculator. If you want to use the calculator, and we also have dictionary. All right. So I will start answering my question now. So I'll just enter random answers here. You can see that the questions are coming out randomly. So let me stop at this for now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log out and log in again to continue. So I log in again, and you can see I can resume my the question. I can resume. So now I'm at question 4. I'm definitely going to fail this. So I'm just entering like random response here. So once you attempt the last question, the submit button comes up. As you can see, this is the submit button, and here you also have like the number of questions you've answered. So now I've answered 10 out of 10, so that's why I'm having 10 over 10 here. And then I'm done now. I can go back previous to the previous questions. I can go next to come front, or I can submit my question. So that's what I want to do now. I want to submit, so I'll click on submit. Do you wish to submit this exam? Once you submit, answers cannot be changed. Yes, I want to submit. So but before I submit, I want to show you something. Let me click no. So I want to show you something. You can actually read this. There's a way you can read. You can click on this speaker button here to read out the questions.
Algorithm is used to sort elements by repeatedly swapping adjacent elements. Selection sort. Insertion sort. Merge sort. Bubble sort.
So you heard it. You can read out the question. You can also increase this question size or reduce it depending on how you want. Okay, so now let's submit. I'll click on submit and say yes. Exam submitted successfully. So now result is available, and result is available because we have. So let me go back to the admin. So if I go back to test, we had already set up allow candidates to view results. So what I'll do now is, first of all, let me view the results just to show you how it looks like. So you see, this is how the result that is available to candidate looks like. You can see the grading that we set up. You can see here we now have F, grade as F, because I scored 9. Okay. So now I'll close this result. Then I'm going to go back to the admin, and I'm going to make this to turn this off so that candidates do not have access to results. So now if I go back here, I will need to log in again. You can see the result is no longer available. So we cannot, candidates cannot view their results anymore. Okay. And then let's go back to admin. Here you have access to view the results, test results. If I view now, you will see we now have one result. Remember before we do not have anything here. So now you can see we have one result. We have the candidate number, we have the candidate name, the seat, the score, the grade, when they started, and when they finished. Okay. So those are the things we have on results. We have number of students, the lowest score, the highest score. So we have just one person now. So that's why we have the same score here as the lowest and highest. Okay. So another thing is you can actually bring two or one or two results together. So I can't do that now because I only have one test. Okay. So but you can have multiple tests and then you are able to merge the results together. Okay. So that's what this test results merge module does. Okay. So now we'll check out the reports, the attendance reports. For attendance, we have attendance by test. So simple shows you the people that attempted the test. So you can see this is attendance by test. Then we now have attendance by date. Sh- shows you it shows you this attendance based on login. Okay. So that is basically everything. So I didn't touch on this whitelisting here. So so what the whitelisting does is that when somebody have access to this software, the person has this software and the person can plug it into your network, the person cannot be able to use the software until it is whitelisted. Okay, so even though the person have access to your network, the person will need to make a request. So when he makes a request, it comes here. Then an admin will need to whitelist. We need to approve that request. So once the approve is done, that system will now be whitelisted, and only then can the person be able to use the software. So you can see I'm using this software because when I set up this admin site, a whitelisting was done automatically. You can see here it was done automatically. So that's why I'm able to use this software. So let me show you what I mean. So let me log out and then let me quit the software here. So this system has already been whitelisted, but I will remove that whitelisting now. Oh, sorry. Like I told you, this software is not yet tested, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that removal from I'm going to do it from the database. So here we have the whitelisted clients. Let me see if I can delete from here. um okay, so it's already deleted now. Seeing it as though it's deleted. So let me open the client system again. Sorry, sorry. I think what I need to do is to change the client ID so you stop seeing it as the same client. Then let me open it again. So it should tell me client not whitelisted now. You can see client not whitelisted. So this is what you're going to get if you have access to the software and you have not been whitelisted. Okay. So the next thing will now be to request whitelisting. So I request. So once I request, the request will come in here. So if I go back to client whitelisting, here I have one request. You can see one request. So I can now approve. You can see it is approved. And then here you can restart the software now, or you wait for it to get um to zero here so that it will check again. So once it checked and it sees that the whitelisting request had already been approved, it will now grant you access to the software. But if the whitelisting request is not yet approved, the countdown is going to it will need to start counting again. But if it's approved, it will give you access. So it's 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Once it gets to zero, it will check. You can see, so it has checked and we now have approval. So it now launches the app for us. So you can see here we can now use the application. Okay, let me close this. So that's the function of this whitelisting. So it helps you manage the client system so that only authorized system will be permitted to use your software. Okay. So that is it. On the settings, we have the school settings that we did earlier. You can update the logo, the name, phone, email, and then address. Okay. So that is everything there is to cover. Like I said, the software is like let's say 60% complete. It's not yet completed, but we are still working towards it. But if you're interested in the software, um, you need to check the video description below. I always leave my contact details there. Make sure to contact me, and then we will talk on how to send the software to you and how to make it work for you or your school. So that's everything I have for today, and do have a wonderful day. Bye.